Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube, Diggy546? Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. Alright, so we got some news today. I was just going to drop the video on the 53, but what I'm going to do is combine these two videos because I'm on a short time crunch right now. So we're going to get right into Billy Price is a New York football giant. We traded away BJ Hill. He's a guy that flashed for us. He had 3 sacks in that Washington game as a rookie. So he ended up having 5.5 sacks as a rookie, which I think kind of blew his pass rush potential out of the water. Like, it kind of made it seem like he was a better pass rusher than he was. Don't get me wrong, he is a solid pass rusher, but it kind of overrated him as a pass rusher, and he's pretty much been trying to live up to that rookie year. I don't think he's a guy that will ever, well, I won't say never, but I don't think he's a guy that you can expect to have over 3 or 4 sacks a season as a starter. I think probably on the Bengals, he'll probably get some nice snaps on the Bengals. There's less depth there on the interior. He was kind of buried on this depth chart because we're so deep at that position. So good for him. He's going to get to go to the Bengals. He's going to get to go up to LSU North with I was going to say Danny Shelton, with Tyler Shelvin from LSU, with I think he's got not Ogunjobi, but the Bengals have got one defensive tackle. It might be Ogunjobi, but the Bengals have got some nice depth up there at defensive tackle. I think there's an Ogunjobi and there's a Ozunrike or something, but one of those two guys is up there for the Bengals. So BJ Hill will still have some nice talent around him to go ahead and try to have a career year, since he's probably going to get the most snaps he's ever gotten in his career. So moving on to what we got back was Billy Price. He's a guy who's been up and down. Bengals fans have been kind of disappointed with him. He hasn't really lived up to being a first-round pick, and that's understandable. You draft an offensive lineman. I think he was I know he's a first-round pick, but I think he was supposed to be a center. Ended up not working out too well for him, but I have heard from some people that he has been solid over the last year and a half, but before that, he was pretty bad. Either way, the Bengals decided that they wanted to cut ties with him. We traded away BJ Hill and a conditional 7th-round pick. I'm not necessarily sure what that condition is at this point. It may just be the pick that we got from Carolina for Santoso playing at least, I think, 1 or 2 games. If he gets 2 starts, then we get that pick. That may be the pick that we traded. So either way, I'm not really worried about that 7th-round pick. It comes and it goes. I'm not worried about it. But we traded that away and BJ Hill to get Billy Price. I think that Billy Price is going to be, at the very worst, solid depth on this offensive line because we need it. He's better than Kenny Wiggins. He's better than the guys we got there. And I think it's a solid move. Now I want to pivot over to a 53-man roster projection. I'm going to try to make this quick. I don't want this video to be 20 minutes. I'm not going to explain every single thing. Some things are better just said, because we know guys like Saquon, we know guys like Daniel Jones are going to make the roster. We know we're not keeping 3 quarterbacks. We know some things, so I don't have to explain every decision that I made on this 53-man roster. What I will explain probably is the bottom of the roster guys. Quarterback, we all know it's going to be DJ and Mike Glennon. Those are the 2 quarterbacks that are going to make the roster. Lewerke will probably be your practice squad quarterback. He'll give you a lot of looks. He's a little bit mobile, so that should help. Running backs, Saquon, Corey Clement, Devontae Booker, and Eli Penny. Those are your 4 running backs. Eli Penny showed yesterday that he could actually be used as a running back in some situations. So that's 4 running backs you have, and Eli Penny is also your fullback. I don't think that Cullen Gillespie is going to make this roster, but yeah, I think this job is completely Eli Penny's. Wide receiver, Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, John Ross, Kadarius Toney, David Sills at number 6, and I'm keeping the 7th guy, CJ Board. I think CJ Board is probably going to be over David Sills on the depth chart because he's consistently been over him. He's been used in the offense. He's been used on special teams. I think they like him as a depth receiver and as a special teamer. So I think he's a lock to make the roster. And I made some other moves on the roster so they'd be able to keep David Sills. But I would not be surprised if David Sills' job goes to another position to keep that extra offensive lineman, to keep that extra DB. You never know where it'll go. And we don't know who will start the league or who will start the season off on IR on the PUP list. So David Sills is a guy that could or could not be on the roster, but I decided to keep 7 receivers, which is a lot, especially since last year I think we only kept 5. At tight end, Evan Ingram, Kyle Rudolph, Caden Smith. Of course, if for some reason Evan Ingram is missing some time, Nakia Griffin-Stewart, Jake Hausman are options. Tight end from another team, a veteran, could be an option for those first couple of weeks while Evan Ingram is getting healthy. But for now, I'm going to keep 3 tight ends, Evan Ingram, Rudolph, and Smith, and just say that they'll all hopefully be ready to go by week 1. And now let's look at the offensive line, which was a mess yesterday. But Andrew Thomas, Shane Lemieux, Nick Gates, Will Hernandez, Matt Parrott, and Nate Solder as your swing tackle, Jonathan Harrison as your swing center guard, you know, pretty much both guard spots and the center spot. Billy Price, same kind of thing. If Jonathan Harrison ends up starting or if Harrison is injured, Billy Price will step in right there. And then Chad Slade is a guy who I've liked in spots. He has a little bit of experience at tackle, so he could be your ultra insurance if you need someone to tackle. So I decided to keep 9 offensive linemen. You usually keep between 8 and 10. I went right in the middle at 9. Defensive linemen, I decided to keep 6. And when I say defensive linemen, I mean guys with their hand in the ground. Someone who's missing from this, who I consider the defensive lineman, but they've been lining him up at outside linebacker. Afadi Odenigbo did not make my roster. And I'll tell you why after I go over the linebackers and the defensive linemen. Leonard Williams is of course the first defensive lineman. And by the way, I'm not listing this in order of who I expect to be in what order on the depth chart. Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, Austin Johnson, David Moa made this roster, Danny Shelton, and Raymond Johnson. Raymond Johnson has shown a lot of flashes in the pass rush, and David Moa has just been all over the place. I think he deserves a roster spot. We'll see how this ends up playing out. But those are my 6 defensive linemen. Moving on to linebackers, I got outside and inside linebackers all in this same group. Lorenzo Carter, Aziz Ojulari, Zimenez, Ellerson Smith. We'll see if he starts off on the PUP list or on IR. I'm not sure yet. Cam Brown, he's a special teamer. He's not going to get any linebacker snaps, but he's going to get a lot of special team snaps. He's pretty much our gunner right now. Blake Martinez, Tay Crowder, Reggie Ragland, and Carter Coughlin. Those are my guys. I feel like Trent Harris could possibly have a spot on this list. If you see a Ellerson Smith get IR'd, that will be my next guy up. And I think Trent Harris has outplayed Afadi Odenigbo. Plain and simple. I would also consider getting rid of David Moa. I'm not sure. I think that is his name. I would also consider getting rid of David Moa or Raymond Johnson to give Trent Harris a spot because he's been that impressive. But Odenigbo at this point is 2 spots away from making his 53 roster. He's behind Trent Harris, and Trent Harris didn't even make this roster. So I would consider, actually, I'm going to make this official. You guys can pause and play as you go along, but I'm going to take David Moa off of this roster, and I'm going to include Trent Harris as my 10th linebacker. This is a 3-4, so you need your linebackers. And then let's get to our cornerbacks. Again, it's possible that Aaron Robinson starts off the year on the PUP list or on IR, but I'm going to say that he makes this roster, and you have to make the roster to make IR. So that's let's just realize that. But Adoree Jackson, Brad Berry, Darnay Holmes, Rodarius Williams, Aaron Robinson, and Keon Crossan. I have not seen Josh Jackson on the field yet. Not sure if he makes this roster. Again, if Aaron Robinson goes on to the PUP list or on IR, then you'll probably see Madre Harper here or Sam Beal or another guy that we're not even thinking of that got cut that's going to end up being a Giant. You'll probably see another guy get signed, of course, if Aaron Robinson starts off on some kind of list. And then your safeties, easy home run. McKinney, Love, Julius Peppers, and Logan Ryan. I was going to try to come up with the long snapper name, but Logan Ryan is your fourth safety, and of course not in any order. And after that, I mean, your four safeties all have corner experience, so they can all switch down to do that. And then you got your punter, your kicker, and your long snapper. Casey Crater's your long snapper. Your kicker is Graham Gano, and your punter is Riley Dixon. And I'm pretty sure that's 53. Now, I might be one player off, but remember, I did get rid of David Moa, and Trent Harris didn't make my roster at the beginning. So if I'm one player over, then the guy that I cut was Trent Harris and David Moa. Those guys didn't make the roster. But I'm pretty sure that this is 53. So that's my 53. You let me know who you would have kept that I cut, or if you completely agree with me. David Seals is a guy who was a bubble guy. Raymond Johnson, David Moa, those guys are bubble guys. So that's my 53. You guys let me know who you're looking for to make this roster, who you think could be a surprise cut, and have a great rest of your day. If you made it this deep into the video, come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.